Yesterday was one of those hard days. You know, those days when you go to bed and you're like, oh Lord Jesus, please just let me get my pillow. Um, my website, Eric G. Reid, blew up. And so spent a great deal of time yesterday trying to rebuild the website. It's like 80% back. And I was like, good. Let's just, to the tech support team and everybody else, I was like, let's just hold it there for 24 hours. Just like, let's just leave it there. And then my son's laptop he had locked himself out of. So it was like, fix that. And then the internet in the home and then the TV internet. And I felt like I was the IT guy on call yesterday, which is a previous life of mine. And I was just like, oh Lord, my brain is being burned out. And so really when you have days like that, just speaking from personal, sometimes it's okay to say, you know what, enough is enough, done is done. I'm pulling off the side of the road. I'm going to veg out on a stupid movie or a casual read or just sit and stare at the wall for 10 minutes. We sometimes keep driving ourselves when it's no longer effective. It's kind of like working past muscle growth into muscle destruction where you can't recover from. And so yesterday, I tell you, it was about 8:30. I was like over, done with, gone. Website up, internet service at the house up, TV's connected, buddies, my son's laptop, code broke it and busted in. So all is good. All is good. And went to bed and woke up ready and refreshed for today's Q&A Wednesday. So with that said, before we jump into the Q's and the A's, if you didn't get yesterday's newsletter, you can still subscribe. That was on a different system, so I know it went out. Just go to ericgreed.com/subscribe. And if you need to send me a Q for an upcoming Q&A, just see, still a little weak up here. Eric@ericgreed.com. So, and then just put it in the subject line Q or Q&A or whatever. And so we're going to go over some coaching Q&As. Good morning, Tom. Good to see you. Saw a couple other people sneak through. So our Q's for Q&A this morning. I'm going to start with this one because I think it handles a lot of what in a lot of different ways. The question was, how do I handle confrontation? I have to address an issue with somebody. And when I heard that, it was very obvious that they were, that negative feeling, that churning, oh, this is going to suck kind of thing. And often as employers or team leaders or even coaches and parents and spouses, there's a moment where we feel like we have to confront somebody and we dread it and we fear it and we build up all this negative anxiety around it. And I think it often happens because we're approaching it wrong. And what do I mean by we're approaching it wrong? Well, when we're confronting somebody, it's our goal is to bring it back into alignment, restore the relationship prior to what it was before the event, the incident, the confrontation arose. And what I mean by that is when we have to confront somebody, it's often because the expectation and the reality are out of alignment, or that the communication has broken down, or that I'm going here and I feel resistance or no buy-in. And so I jotted down my notes. Confrontation should focus on, I wrote it down, I didn't count it, 6 things. So number 1 is clarification. Clarify what the issue is. And that means removing it from emotion. The behavior, often we'll come in and go, you're doing blah, 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 or this, and we start pointing the finger and trying to defend ourselves and put the wall out there. Just clarify, yesterday this occurred and that's not in alignment with. Make sure you're clear, or I heard this said, is that true? Or this is what I'm seeing that I don't clearly understand. Get clarity on what you're ready to confront, because often we come in it with such emotion and such perspective, and we're like in defensive mode. We have to defend our position and defend our territory, and like that we lose perspective. The second thing is change. State the change that needs to occur, and try and avoid that. You need to change your behavior right now. Really? Like, where's that going to get you? You need to. No. Say, what I would like to see is, or what I would like to experience is, or I think if we changed this, remember, you're trying to restore the relationship. You're trying to bring it back into alignment. You're trying to set a new start point. And then connecting. The third is that connecting piece where we have to go back and connect. I value you, or I'm having this conversation, or because of our history and our past and what we share, I reestablish that connection. So first I clarify what's going on. Then I talk about the change that I want. Then I make sure we're still connected. It's sort of that wave into the restoration. It's, look, I know this sounds bad, or that I'm kind of coming in on you, but I'm doing it because we have something. We have a partnership. We have a lead. We have a relationship. We're team members. We're clients. We're coaches. I want to make sure that you understand that I value this relationship and I want to connect back to it. And then do the course correction. Sort of like, okay, so moving forward, this is our agreement. This is our plan. This is what we're going to do. Like, I set the vision for where we're going. And that's that course correction piece. And then do a little coaching if you have to. That's that part where you're like, okay, so if we're going to do this, what are you going to need from me? If this is going to change, how can I best help, serve, guide, give to you? What is the thing that I can provide, or what do we, maybe as a team, need to bring outside coaching, counseling, support into it? What is the skill set? Sometimes it's a skill set, sometimes it's a mindset, sometimes it's an attitude reset. What do you need from me to make that course correction? And then I have sort of as the last one, or number 6, is that canceling. Like, okay, you've set the new course, you've laid out the plan. Let's just cancel the, quote, confrontation, the anger and the emotion and the event that occurred. Because ultimately, if I'm going to take the energy to confront somebody, it's because I want to reinvest in them. I want to reinvest in the relationship. I want to reinvest in the partnership, whatever it looks like. And the only thing that happened was that expectations and communication fell apart. And if I'm a leader, I don't just toss people to the side and go, you're not worth it. No. How can I bring this relationship back into being? So when the question was asked, how do I handle confrontation? Think of it more as course correction. When I have to confront somebody, and sometimes I have to confront myself, it's gaining clarity, creating a course correction, connecting, and then moving and coaching forward. All right? So get out of the idea that it's a punishing and a punitive and isolating, and you're sending them off to a desert island. No. It's not the way confrontation should be done. Another question I got was, I feel like I have no confidence. And then there was some stuff that I summarized into right now. So the question was, I feel like I don't have any confidence. And what I'll say is, it's very, very rare. I'll go 99.999%, whatever. I can, because I make up Q&A Wednesday. That you lack confidence in everything. You may lack confidence in a particular area. But really, if I sat down and said, okay, so you have no confidence. No, I have no confidence. I just have no confidence. And we dug and we talked and we looked into things. You'd probably say, oh yeah, I could bake you a cake. I could do that from scratch. I could do that in my sleep. Oh, so you have confidence in that area. What about this and that? And so we start to discover that, you know what, I really do have confidence in certain areas. And then as we peel that back, we'll start to realize that, how did you gain that confidence? And I'll hear things like, well, I took a class, or, oh, I've been doing that so long I could do it in my sleep, or I don't know. It's just something I can do. Ah, okay. So in order to gain confidence in these other areas, you learned a skill, did it often, it became natural. So when you say, I have no confidence, what is the skill, the event, the situation that makes you feel that you don't have confidence? Ah, public speaking, driving a car in heavy traffic, whatever it is, going to the gym, being in a spin class, whatever it is, that area that awakens that feeling that says, I have no confidence. It's like, and I went through this the other day with my son in tennis. He was like, I really suck at tennis. I'm not very good. I think I should. And he was like, confidence deficit. Nice thing was, it was about 30 minutes. And then I went back over it in the same pattern. I said, well, what does that mean? He's like, I'm just not very good at it. And I'm like, well, what are you good at? And then we went through what he's good at. And I'm like, but honey, you've only been playing tennis for a week. You've only actually sat down and held a racket for more than 30 minutes, 8 times. You've done this other thing 100 times. And he immediately jumped to, so if I do tennis 100 times, I should be better? I was like, yeah. And he was like, cool. Same thing. Don't make that general statement of I have no confidence. Instead, slow down and say, I need skill training. I need coaching. I need experience. I need to find my natural giftedness in this particular area if I want to grow my confidence. All right? So avoid that comment when you generalize. I have no confidence. Yeah, you do. If I ask you to fry an egg, you'd be like, piece of cake, no problem. Sit down, get a plate and a fork. If I ask you to do a Facebook Live, you'd be like, I have no confidence in that. Why? Well, I've never done one before. Oh, so you need skill training and experience. And you need a little bit of coaching and guidance. Yeah. So if you did it 10 times, would you have more confidence than you do now? Yeah. And 100 times? Oh, yeah. All right, so when do we begin? When do we begin to overcome this experience, knowledge deficit that's making you feel as if you have no confidence? All right? That one to me, you can see some of these. I attended a conference, but I don't know how to apply what was taught. And that's sort of an experience chuckle. You go to these events, you bring your brand new notebook, your special pen, your business cards, your water bottle, and you sit there and you take copious notes. And then you walk out and you're like jazzed up, and you come home and tell your spouse, and you're like, yes, I had this most amazing conference, lecture, training, whatever, and I'm like gonna change the universe, and I'm so excited. And then about 3 days later, you're like, okay, what do I do here? What am I supposed to do? And often that becomes because the picture that was painted from the stage, so to speak, was so big and so broad and so general. I mean, look how many people were sitting around you, that you failed to pull out the one or two things that really directly applied to you. And so often what I'll do after an event or a conference or a seminar or webinar or training or whatever you want to call it, where I went to seek knowledge, growth, and change, is I'll pull back for an entire day before I even talk about it to people and before I'll even share it with the universe. And I'll go through my notes. And there's a code that I was taught, ACT, Act, Change, Teach. So I may go through my notes and put A's next to certain things, and those are actions. C's are about changing. What do I need to change in my life? And T is about what could I teach or transfer to others. Because not everything there is for me. Some of it might be for others. Some of it might not be relevant to where I'm at in my life. And then I'll take all the actions, and there may be a couple dozen. And I'll start to look at them, and I'll see a pattern often in the action statements. It might be around discipline. It might be around commitment. It might be around risk or whatever. I'll start to see a pattern in that ACT. Okay, why are all the A's focused around this idea? And so as I begin to implement what I've learned at a seminar or training in R or whatever, I'll say, okay, so I don't need to do, I need to become aware. And how is that awareness, these A's, actions and awareness, what is the one thing that I could do starting now where I'm at to more reflect this? But like I said, often we leave these events, these seminars, these training hours, these whatevers, and we've got so much information. It's like going to a museum and trying to memorize all of the paintings in the museum and take action about all of them. Instead, you may find yourself drawn as you go back through those notes that day after and mark them as ACT. If you can do it in the moment, it's even a little bit better. But I find that sometimes when I go back through, the ones in the moment I scribble out because it got better later down. Later down, that's a new one. But it's like going to the museum, and after a while you might be like, you know what? I'm really drawn to the Impressionist wing, or to the Neoclassic, or to the different periods of art, or different styles of art, or even more drawn to this artist. Let me focus on that for right now. Because what will happen is, as you gain momentum out of that, you'll go through your notes over and over, and the notes and the things that were given, and gain more and more momentum, as opposed to being stuck with this event overload. And then you look at the spouse and she's like, last time you went to an event, you were all hyped up. You came home and used the entire dinner conversation to talk about what was going to happen, and nothing's happening. And now here you are asking if you could go to another one and spend another $3,000 to get jazzed up to take over a dinner table and not have anything happen. So I would rather have you take one action and really magnify it and explode it than do nothing and end up stuck. So again, I go through my notes after an event. I typically will try and book a day after as sort of a wind down day. Some days it takes two, depending on the size and the event. And I'll go through all my notes. I'll go through all the brochures. I'll take all the stuff that they give us, and I'll start tearing out the pages, and I sort of put them together in a more organized way for me. And then I'll just go through and like ACT, act or bring awareness, change, and then T for teacher transfer. And I take all my A's, and then I look for a pattern in those A's, and then whatever pattern sort of floats to the top is the one that I begin to take action on first. All right? Let's do one more. Somehow I think we did this one last week, but I'll do it again. I want to make more money, but I don't know how. Is it more money or more time? I'm pretty sure we talked about this on the last Q&A. I would rather have more time than money. What I mean by that is I would rather raise my dollar per hour than raise my number of hours creating dollars. And so maybe when you're talking about making more money, it's really consolidating your workday, consolidating your activities, consolidating the things you do to money producing activities. And so if you would go through your day, your week, your month, and you started circling in maybe a green highlighter, those activities that actually produced money. And sometimes at the time you don't see them, but in hindsight they show up. And started looking at the activities that produced money, the activities that you were getting paid for, the activities that were bringing you more in line with revenue producing opportunities, and started doing more of those. And then everything that didn't get highlighted, you have to determine if it was just ego feed or hobbying. And maybe those get kicked out for now. This is summertime. I ain't gonna lie. My kids are home. I'm home working. It was part of the plan to be available to them. My day feels like what used to be a leisurely, 8-hour days has been compressed to a high intensity 1 hour sometimes. I look at the things that I do, and I have a system, and it's very organized. Like, I got to get these 20 things done, 25 things done, whatever it is. Boom, 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 boom. And if I get those knocked out, good, done. Now, every bit of extra time that I can pull into the back end, that's cool. But if this stuff ain't done, this is the dollar producing, revenue creating, brings me into alignment with opportunities, if this stuff doesn't get done for more than a day, then my dollar per hour value drops. And so then all of a sudden I've got to put more time into work, so to speak. So think about it more about, and the question was, how do I make more money? Or I want to make more money, but I don't know how. Maybe you're making money right now. You're just spreading out the payday, so to speak, at such a distance that if you could compress it and do the things that generate revenue first and more frequently, and then you would have time to do other things or duplicate those dollar producing activities, you would be making more money. But it's often we're wasting more time that makes us feel like we're not making enough money. It's like, oh, I only made $10 this week and I worked 60 hours. It's like, okay, how did you make the $10? So that took an hour. Why didn't you do that for the next 59 hours? Look at what your dollar producing activities are. Those things that bring you in alignment with it. And that goes even if you're working a traditional job where you have a boss or an employee. There are certain activities in the department, on the team, in the company that pay more than other activities or projects. Figure out how to get more in line with those things. Find out how you sit in on those meetings. Find out how you sit on those teams. How you can bring that to your boss, so to speak. And him look and go, you know what, Eric? He does the work that produces the money. We're going to keep him around and give him more of those works and therefore reward him accordingly. All right. Well, I hope you all loved Q&A Wednesday. I do love Q&A Wednesday. Don't forget, in order for Q&A Wednesday to happen, you need to send me your questions. All right? So Eric at Eric G. Reid for the questions. Fun Friend Friday right now, I don't think we have a guest. I've got sort of an email yesterday in the middle of technology craziness that made me think, and we're following up today. So we'll find out. It may be a surprise guest. We've done that once before. In the meantime, if you know somebody that you're like, man, or this person would be so cool to interview or Eric to share with us, let me know. I'll go chase him down. I'll see what I can do about it for you. All right. Well, thank you for joining me again today. I hope you have a magnificent and awesome day. And technology gremlins cast aside for both you and I. I just like cast them aside. Be gone, you technology gremlins. All right? Go out and live your life with success today. You are so worthy of it, my friends. So worthy of it. All right? Bye-bye.